You're done.
Drew and I met in 4th grade. They'd recently moved to the district, and so we sat next to each other in Mrs. Cooper's class at Hazlitt. I had never met anyone that acted like Drew before and did the sort of things that he did or said the things that he said, and I was curious. And I started talking to him and to the parapro that was with him and learning a bit more about him and spending some time with him, like on the playground at recess. And yeah, we became friends.
I started working with Drew in Hazlitt schools about 9 years ago, 8-9 years ago. I was parapro with Hazlitt schools, and I basically worked with him in the classroom and in the resource room, just in all different capacities.
When we were still in high school and we were working on a transition plan for Drew from high school to the world of work and employment, we got a big team together of parapros like Miss Applegate, who'd worked with him, his family, and a whole bunch of other people. Sat us all down in a room to talk about Drew and think like, okay, what's he good at? What does he like to do? What would be a good fit for him going forward that we can kind of help support him in getting a job? And we started calling ourselves Team Drew. And from there, it was pretty easy once he started the business, like, okay, it's Drew-centered, Drew-focused, Drew-driven. So, Team Drew.
We noticed that he would always, if you had your plastic bottle sitting there and as soon as it was empty, he'd, beeline for it and say, recycle? He said, that's great, thanks, Drew. And then also, and getting to know the family, and they were talking about how he would, I always wanted to take the trash out and always wanted to kind of tidy stuff up, but when it came to bottles, that was his thing. So we kind of all brainstormed, and we thought, gosh, everybody, let's see if bottle recycling is something that he would be interested in and could still make a little money doing it.
If anyone has bottles, we operate in the greater Lansing area. So mostly like Meridian, East Lansing, into the Lansing and like the Witt area. And if you have bottles that you don't want to take back, you can call us, you can message us on Facebook, send an email. I drive him around to make stops, and it's hard for him to communicate or like recognize social cues sometimes, so I help him communicate with the customers. Once he takes the bottles back, I don't do any of that because he knows what to do, but I help sort of facilitate all of that. And like when he goes to turn in the bottle slips to get the money back to give to the customer, I help him communicate so that he can get his money and the customer's money.
You can't help but fall in love with Drew once you get to know him, and then of course the family. It's a wonderful family. So even though I haven't been with the school for a few years, I've developed a friendship with the family. So they kind of ask me to be involved with different things that are going on, and just basically staying with the team for everybody to brainstorm.
Remember our drives to work or drives to pickups, when he's just excited to be out and doing something that he loves, and he's listening to music. We've got the radio turned up and I'm singing along, and he's just happy to be doing something that he loves. And
he's just typically such an upbeat guy. I mean, he's pleasant to be around. He's usually always happy, and just, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I've learned a lot from him, just as far as, he kind of just bowls right through his adversity that comes with, being autistic or whatnot. And he just kind of, he goes with it, and he just, he's just a neat guy. He greets you like, every time he sees you, he greets you like he's just so happy to see you, and he's just, I don't know, I'm not quite sure what else to say, but besides, you'd have to get to know him. And once you do, you're like, oh my gosh, you look forward to every time you're gonna see him and just hanging out with him. It's just neat.
Team Drew is something that he created, and it's centered on him, and it allows him a lot of flexibility. So if he isn't really feeling it one day, he can take the bottles back the next day. And if there aren't too many bottles one week, then there might be a lot more the next week. So it's really flexible, and it works for him and for his schedule and for his support needs. And it's something that he loves to do. So I see him doing this as long as he wants to do it.